Welcome back to the Andy Storch Show. I am your host, Andy Storch, and this is a show where we can come together to starve our fears, to follow our dreams, and to fulfill our true potential. And we give you a little look behind the curtain here on this one because it has been a while since I recorded an interview. Been traveling a lot, been sick. Basically took, I don't know, it's probably been 5 weeks since I've really recorded an interview for either of my podcasts. And I came into this one with my friend Julio, who is on the other side here. And we kind of got on Zoom and looked at each other and went, what are we talking about today? I don't even remember. We had a plan for this. And I almost forgot how to do the intro to this as we got on. But we are here. We are live. At least we are live today on our podcast. Julio, welcome to the Andy Storch Show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Happy to be here after all the rescheduling and everything. Glad that we can make some time and get together
exactly.
And talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about.
Whatever we're going to talk about. We rescheduled this like 6 times. It's been many months. And I remember there was a moment when you and I were texting. We met through the Dad Dead Alliance that our friend Larry Hagner runs. He's the host of the very popular Dad Edge podcast. If you're a dad, I highly recommend you check it out. And Julio and I met through that community and started with an online friendship. We've met a couple times in person. Most recently when I was up in New York, I don't know, a few months back, and we hung out there because you're up in Westchester, right? New York.
That's right.
And we text pretty often, especially about things like mindfulness and meditation and anxiety and fear and family. And I remember you said something one day where I was like, we need to talk about that on the podcast. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I actually think it was related to this idea of anxiety and mindfulness and really like taking stock of your life and taking the right actions to move in the right direction. And you were just talking to me right before we started recording about how things got a little overwhelming, especially with social media and the online world. And I know a lot of people experience that. So let's start right there. Talk to me about that experience and the kind of the pullback that you made recently.
Well, so a few months ago, I just found myself just more challenged to focus, more challenged to get things done. And I thought about, where am I spending so much time? And because of the meditation that you and I talk about all the time, and that we're always going back and forth about how we've done it one day over the other, or X amount of days in a row, because of that, I was able to slow myself down and take a look without judging myself, without immediately seeing what was quote unquote wrong and judging that, but just saying like, oh, maybe this is why I can't focus, because I keep picking up my phone, because I keep posting things on my feed, and I keep checking to see who's responded.
Right.
And somewhere in there, I don't know how deep we want to get into this, but somewhere in there is like, this need for validation.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to keep my business going, trying to doing some a freelance job where I wanted to do really well, and there's a lot of pressure internally, because like you, I have my own business, but I've also been doing some freelancing. But even freelancing is still your own business. You're still just you at home by yourself with the 4 walls. So right. It's I'm looking for validation. It's like, okay, nothing wrong with that, but can't look for it 4 hours a day and only be productive for 3. It just doesn't. Right. The math doesn't work.
Right.
The math
got to be a balance
work
there.
Yeah, and if you're looking for validation 4 hours a day, that just doesn't. It's not healthy overall. Like you're not going to be happy, because when you're looking for validation, you're going to get caught in the drift of, oh, let me see what else people have posted, and you're not feeling great about yourself, or you're hoping to get to a certain point, and you're watching everybody else thinking that they're at another point ahead of you.
Yeah, totally. I would definitely want to get into the comparison thing you mentioned earlier, but first I want to touch on the validation thing, because I catch myself with this all the time. I try to be very like Zen about it. But here's the thing, like you're someone that you've gotten in and out of creating content and posting things on social media. And I do a lot of that as well. And there are a lot of people listening who are complete consumers, and they're like, I don't post very much. And there's some people listening who post a lot of content, and they'll totally understand and relate to this when I say it, which is you put something out there, especially if you put a lot of effort into it, a lot of insight. And for a while, You know, I mentioned one of the things you and I bonded over was meditation, mindfulness. We both use the Calm app,
Hmm.
and there's this great quote meme that comes up at the end of the 10-minute daily calm
Yeah.
meditation every day. And you were posting that every day with some like very insightful, intrinsic thoughts about your own journey.
Hmm.
And it was really cool to see that and check in on it. And I'm sure a lot of people who are friends with you, follow you, benefit from that. The other side of that, what a lot of people don't see is you post that and then you try to go on with your day, but really you go back and you check it like 18 times to see like, oh, did
Yes.
anybody like it? Did anybody
Yes.
comment on it? And you tell
Yes.
yourself, you're like, well, I need to respond if anybody comments, but really you're going for that dopamine hit of like,
Oh
how
yeah.
many likes did I get? Right?
Oh
How many
yeah.
people commented on this? Did people agree with it? Did anybody disagree with it? Is anybody
Right.
judging me for this? Screw
Right.
them. No, I want to hear it. Right?
Right.
So like,
Right.
what's your experience been like with that?
And that's probably what that really, now that you laid out that way, that really was the reason why I pulled back, because I was posting probably for a solid 60 days every day,
Yep.
my that final meme, right? And I went back because I was sharing a part of myself. It was a great way for me to be vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
right? And leveraging that part of like getting to be vulnerable from behind a keyboard. And my friends did benefit from it. I got a lot of great response. People that didn't actually respond on there, they would
Yeah.
call me, they would text me, and you just, there is that dopamine hit, and you're like, wow, that's great that I was, you can be all can't think of the word right now, but like, so like generous, be like, oh, look what I did such a great thing for these
I help
people.
people.
I
Yeah.
help people. I did such a good thing. I'm gonna do it again tomorrow.
Right.
Let's just, at least I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I'll speak for me. I know that, yeah, I did feel that way, but I also was like, you know what? That's a good hit. That was a good
Yeah.
hit, dopamine. I mean, I got 15 likes on that, and then two people texting me, and somebody sent me a message on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow, like, you know,
Validation.
yeah, that was like an all day, dopamine fest. Like,
Right.
let's do it. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And
You get
then,
addicted.
and all you do is you want to get that next hit, and the
That's
next
right.
few days, and everybody who posts content and who can identify with this knows you're not going to get it. 3 days, 4 days go by, and for
Yeah.
whatever reason, you're forcing it, and it's not going to come. And then you get tired, and you post something, and then you're not even knowing it, and you're posting from a more vulnerable state, and then bam, right back up again, and then
Mhm.
you're on the hunt
You're
again.
high and you're hunting
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
yeah, for the dopamine. I think a lot of people don't realize that or think about that. You know, we're
Hmm.
looking for those likes and comments, and it really is about that dopamine hit, and it's not truly fulfilling, right? It's kind of like an empty feeling, kind of like doing drugs.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get the true feeling like you get from a real face-to-face conversation and someone validating you and who you are. The other challenge that comes from that and the social media game, and we're talking about the challenges of social media. I love social media. I love everything that, it's benefited my life so much, but you have to be aware and mindful of the challenges. The other one is comparison, which you mentioned briefly earlier. I catch myself all the time. I remember that stretch of 60 days when you were posting every day, the meme from Calm. I would catch myself multiple times. I'd be like, well, I did the same meditation this morning, and why didn't I post something as insightful as Julio did? I didn't post anything, and he's got this whole great thing, and I agree with him. And like, I could have been doing this too, and I didn't do it. Like, what? God, it doesn't serve me at all. But we get caught in that all the time, and I'm sure you did
Oh
as
yeah.
well, because you also see other friends that are posting things, and you're like, well,
Right.
he got more likes and comments than I did on my own post.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
there's something to be learned, but it can also really hurt cause anxiety.
Right. And you're sitting there, you're like, wow, I did the same meditation. I didn't get any of that.
That's
Like,
right.
wow, I didn't feel any. Wow, am I doing the meditation right? Because it goes back again. Like,
Yep.
we're in our four walls,
Yep.
and there's no other kind of distraction, and it's like, oh, I didn't get any of that, And meditation is such a solitary practice. So I
Right.
mean, you know, like, wow, what am I? And you go to sit again, and you're like, oh, I really hope that I get something out of this one. Like, that's that's not the point, Like,
That's not the point. Just clear your mind, relax.
yeah,
Everybody's different,
right,
right?
right.
And just for the benefit of anybody listening who is not into meditation. You've probably heard me talk about it many times. Julio and I would think both of us would say we're far from gurus, just someone who practice, we practice on a regular basis
Hmm.
and try to get benefits from it. I think it is incredibly helpful from a mental health perspective. I see it as exercise for my brain. And the goal is really to quiet your mind and try to clear the mind. But we both use this Calm app, which I love and I highly recommend. The daily meditation has clearing your mind, but that also comes with like a daily lesson. And
Hmm.
some days, and it's different for each of us, some days I'm like, oh my God. Well, some days I'm like, okay, whatever. Like that was pretty cool. And some days I'm like, oh my God, you're speaking directly to me. And it depends on the
Hmm.
lesson, right? So to your point, sometimes you take something big away from it. And I'm like, oh, that was all right.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
didn't
get
see
anything from that.
that.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And uh, yeah, I mean, I can't say any more about that. That's exactly what it is. Those, we take different things, but again, it just goes back to that comparison thing, and it's such a dangerous trap, and it's so easy to fall into it.
Yeah.
You don't even know that you're halfway in, and you're like, wow, I'm doing it all over again because it's just so subtle. It's so subtle,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it just
let's dig in on the comparison a little bit more because another thing you said to me, and this is before we started recording. Well, actually, and after we started recording, you said something about being a freelancer, a solopreneur, if you will. You're a web designer, web developer, right? And
mhm,
you've been in business for yourself for a long time, and I've been
yes,
doing this for a couple of years. And you work from home,
mhm,
and you're in the four walls, and you're kind of on your own, right? And it can
yes,
get very lonely. But the beautiful thing about living and working in 2019 is there are all these great online communities we can join, and you've been a part of the Dad Edge Alliance where you and I met, and I've been a part of that as well as some entrepreneur groups. And
mhm,
it's awesome to be able to go and connect with people and get help on stuff.
yes,
But there's upsides and downsides to everything. There's a downside of you're seeing all these other people posting and sharing the things they're doing, and then you can get caught in the comparison trap there. And you said you were kind of starting to go down that road with the dads group as well before you started to take a break, right?
right, yeah, yeah. I just you get caught up in the comparisons and it doesn't, again, it's subtle, and then it becomes bigger, and you're not really sure, even at the way that we practice, we're able to slow our brains down, but you don't notice it, and it just happens, and you start to feel like crap, and you're like, what is going on? Because you've been caught in the drift, and you're scrolling, or you're scrolling on your machine, and it's you start thinking like, oh man, look at Andy. Look at Andy's like going out and doing, like, he just got back from a ride. Oh, I mean, my bike's like rusting out. I never ride. You know, I mean, all I do is, all I do is my yoga, and Andy's doing yogas on Saturday. Like, Saturdays are Andy's yoga day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've really got a session in this week, and it says it. Meanwhile, I'm just telling myself stories. I have
Right.
no idea what's happening for you. I don't
Right.
know, you know, when the last time was that you rode. All I know is that you rode on that particular day that I'm looking at. I see your post,
Right.
and it gets pretty bad. Like, even if I look at the date and it's 3 days ago, I'm like, he's probably gone on 3 rides. He's
Yeah,
probably gone on three rides.
he's probably been writing consistently
Yeah,
for the last 24 hours, and I'm just
yeah.
sitting here.
And I'm just sitting here. He probably did that, closed like 4 deals. What did I do? I didn't close any deals. I didn't do one bit of yoga, and I ate 3 bags of chips. That's what I did. I ate 3 bags of chips. Like, or I didn't, and I'm like, you know what? Who cares? I might as well just go eat 3 bags of chips right now. Like,
Right.
and and you don't, and you're halfway through the first bag. You're like, what am I doing?
Right.
What happened? So,
Who am I? Yeah.
right, yeah.
What
Where
have I
where did
become?
I go?
Yeah.
So,
I like what you said about the stories,
hmm,
because so much of our life and our perception of ourselves and our life is based on the stories that we tell ourselves. And it's so easy to see people on social media, especially when most people share only their wins, right? It is the highlight reel of life.
hmm,
And we start to tell ourselves stories. That guy always has it all figured out. He's always working out. I know people tell themselves stories about me because I post a lot of the wins. I try to be authentic and post, the wins and the losses and things I'm struggling with as well too. But I get that. And that's one of the dangers of social media. And I have the stories that I tell myself, and I get caught in the comparison trap, and I have to slow down and catch myself too. So give me a couple other examples of like the stories you've caught yourself with. And I also want to talk about this idea of slowing down, which you mentioned, because that's where the mindfulness helps in
right.
catching yourself.
I mean, some of the stories I've told myself are, I mean, you, okay, all right. So some of the stories I tell myself are like, I'm not, I'm not smart, and I'm not successful. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm not any good at doing this.
Hmm.
Doing the work that I do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've been in business for 20 years,
Wow.
and the best years that I had in these 20 years were, during the recession, the big recession of
Huh.
'09, right? Those are the '09 and 10 were my best years. I mean, so now isn't probably my best year, but those were great years. And
Yeah.
that's not, so the story that I tell that's the beginning of the story. And then the rationale, the deeper, maybe sicker story is that I just got lucky.
Mm.
I just got lucky. For 20 years, I just got lucky.
Right.
And it's like that can you so then if I can move right into the mindfulness, because that's, I because of the meditation that I do, and I should say that I practice, right?
Yeah.
And I can slow myself down enough, because it's not a hit the brakes kind of thing. I want to say this for the people that are listening
Yeah.
and are doing exactly what I'm talking about and caught in the comparison, like, oh,
Which
I
we
never,
all do. I do it
right.
too,
And
for sure.
I know I don't get that when I meditate. Like, I hear you, but it's not like I meditated for 3 days and all of a sudden this happened.
Yeah.
I've been meditating for a long, long time. And, these are slow progressions, but you catch them and you build up to them. And so, uh, and remember, I've been working for 20 years for myself, and this story has been going on for longer than 20 years.
Yeah.
So, and it's only been maybe in the last year or so that I've been able to at least listen to that story with no judgment,
Yeah.
and just say, maybe consider that you are, let's just start with like a flat line, as good as everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, let's go with that. And then how does that feel, right? Like, and can you see some proof in your work that that's
Yep.
true?
Yeah.
And then, you know you start to listen to the feedback that you've gotten in the past and that you're getting today, and you're like, oh, oh, right, because this is simple for me because I've been doing this for so long. But
Yeah.
it's not simple. It's not. It's far from easy. And the trip from easy to simple is a long trip. So, um, I'm not sure where I'm going with that now, but yeah, that's, it's that's what I'm able to do, to be mindful and slow it down and just tell
Yeah.
myself. And again, when I do tell myself that, it's not an instant like, oh, everything's fine now. It's not like it's a
Right.
fire and you put it out with water. It's like
Right.
you got cut with a band. You got a bad cut, and you put your whatever cream of your choice is, Neosporin or whatever, and you put your Band-Aid on. It still hurts.
Yeah.
It still hurts, but it's going to get better,
Yeah.
and it's not nearly as bad as you thought it was.
Yeah.
So that's what it does.
I
And
like that metaphor. You're
yeah,
aware of it and you're taking action and you're slowing it down. It still hurts, but
it's right,
yeah, you're
right.
taking action.
And it's going to be sore, and you don't want to hit it again, but you probably will.
Yeah. I think it's interesting what you touched on, the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, and what I connect it to often is imposter syndrome, right? And I see so many people that struggle with this. I do as well, that like, I got lucky to get where I am. If people truly found out who I was, they'd realize I'm a fraud and I'm not really as good as I think I am. And like, how am I going to make it in this business? And I deal with that too. And the interesting thing that I just thought about when we talk about comparison and the stories we tell ourselves about other people, and then what we tell ourselves about ourselves is, what if, Julio, like, what if you met yourself and you met this guy who's been doing this business for 20 years, and you're like, oh, wow, like this guy, if you met yourself, what story would you tell yourself about yourself from an outside perspective?
Oh, that's a great question, by the way. And I think I would say that guy's a badass. That's what I would say. Like, 20 years? Are you serious?
Yeah.
That would be like the conversation in my head, if not at this point, the person that I've become, or that I've grown into right now.
Yeah.
I would say it out loud. I'd be like, 20 years? Are you serious? on your own,
Yeah.
like you've been doing this that long, and you've had, these types of clients, and you've done this kind of work,
Yeah.
this whole range of stuff,
Yeah.
and wow, really, and that's amazing. Uh, Tell me how does
Yeah.
that work? How
How'd
does
you
that
do it?
play
Yeah.
out? How did you do it? How do you keep doing it? How do you stay in the game at 20 years? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And you
I'd be
meditate every day, so disciplined, and you're a
yeah,
good father. Like you are really a badass.
right. And then as I am who I am, if someone would come to say that to me, I'd be so happy to share
Yeah.
my lessons and what's going on, so that by the end of that conversation, I'd be like, oh my God, all that. He's a dad, he meditates, he does all this other stuff, does his yoga, and he does and he shares openly, like he's giving me the keys,
Yeah.
and like, wow, that this guy's unreal, like.
So
So yeah,
comfortable in his own skin. He shares all these vulnerable things on social
yeah,
media with his friends, and
yeah.
just always, it is amazing. And I really admire that about you. And you are a badass, man. I'm glad that
Thanks, man.
you recognize that in yourself.
Thank you for asking me that
Well,
question, because that feels really good. That feels
yeah,
really good. Yeah,
I should ask myself that question sometimes, like, oh,
yeah.
because I'm always comparing myself to other people too, and being like, oh, that guy's doing that over there, and whatever. And I try to, one of the things I do, same thing, mindfulness, slow down. And I try to ask myself, and I've posted about this many times, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast too, is slow down and ask myself, what can I learn from them? What can I be inspired to do?
Hmm.
And if it's none of those things, if it's not something I'm interested in, then like just let it go and move on,
Hmm.
because I don't actually care about that, right? Like, how often do you catch yourself comparing yourself to someone who's doing something awesome that you don't even care about, right? Like, I'm trying to think of an example, like someone, I don't know, when got into stand-up comedy or something. You're like, well, that's really cool. I wish I could, but I don't even care about that. I don't even want to do that, right? Or
Right.
I don't know what it is. Maybe you
Yeah.
win an award for web design, and I like get jealous, even though I'm not a web developer and I'm never going to be a web developer. Like, it's just,
Right.
we do that to ourselves. It's so silly.
Yeah. All the time. All the time. And that's a great thing. You just ask yourself, like, okay, well, is that, maybe to reframe what you said, like, is that a value to you? Like,
Yeah.
it's, it's not. Like, we definitely a guy that you and I both know, a great guy, and I'm remembering one time he posted something about how, like, in one of the groups that you and I share, like, we were all talking about cars,
Hmm.
and he had a car that his quote was, the discussion was about what car should I buy.
Yeah.
One person asked, and this guy replied with a picture of his car that is an old Cadillac, and he goes, "Built, not bought." And I remember for like 2 days, I was like, I'm such a loser, man. I can't
I
build a
can't
car.
build a car.
I couldn't build I can't even build a model car. Like, like,
You are so right. You're
right.
so right. I
And
do
then,
that too.
yeah, and then it's like, then you ask yourself, like, who cares? I don't want
Right.
to
I don't
build a
want to build
car.
a car.
Would it be cool if I could?
Yeah.
Sure.
It would be
Absolutely.
manly. It would be manly if you could.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Right. And then again, like I said, we could take this deeper. I mean, manly, right? Then there's the whole, like,
Yeah.
that whole question, like, you start questioning your own manhood. It's like, dude, I can't. And this guy's got tats and he can build a car. I
Yeah.
got no tats. I can't build a car. Like, I don't even know. Like,
It's so true.
yeah.
We do it all the time. It reminds me of our friend Kyle Ferris. You know Kyle, right? Who's
Yes.
Method Dad's group. He lives down here in Central Florida. I was just chatting with him today, and Kyle is like the kind of guy who can fix anything, and he will fix anything in his house or his car. Just like man's man when it comes to that. And I can't fix anything, and I don't need to. Like, if I make enough money, I can pay anybody to fix stuff, right?
Right.
And most of the time, I don't care. But when I see him, or like I talk to him, I'm just like, I don't know anything about fixing anything in my house or my car. He came over one time and helped me fix my dryer. Anytime something breaks on my van, I'm like, oh, this broke, and my mechanic said it's gonna be like $800. Like, do you think I should do this? And his response, I swear, every time he's like, man, just buy me a 6-pack of beer and I'll come over and we'll fix it ourselves. And I'm like, you can fix that? You gonna put a new transmission in my car? Like, this is crazy. But that's the kind of guy he is. And
He
then
is.
we meet people like that, And, you know, to get back to the point, the trap we get in is comparing ourselves and going, well, he's better than me. And we forget that we have strengths that they don't have, right?
Right,
We
right,
can do things that they can't do.
right.
And instead of appreciating it, you know, the right thing, quote, right thing to do is to say, I'm so grateful that I have a friend like that. You
Yeah,
know, I am so grateful I have a friend I can call who can fix things, and
yes,
he can call me for help on sales or mindset or, you know, stuff that
yeah.
I know a lot about or I work on, right? And we
Hmm.
can help each other. Just like I might look at the web development work you do and be like, man, I wish I could just do that myself because I need to fix my website. But I'll get frustrated all day trying to learn how to do that. Or I could just hire somebody, hire you
Right.
to do it for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. And the comparison is something that I think is a big driver of anxiety, right?
Huge.
And it's not even just comparing with other people, it's just thinking about where I could be or should be with my life.
Yes.
And I know that's something that you've struggled with, that you've helped yourself with, and that I know you've helped other people with. Can you talk a
Hmm.
little bit about your journey with anxiety and what you see as kind of the common drivers and fixes for that?
Well, the common drivers, I mean, definitely the comparison, of the anxiety and just thinking that you're not enough. I mean, that's the pretty much the foundation of, in my opinion, of a lot of all of our struggles, men and women, and then you get caught in whatever you want to call it, in a depression, in an anxious moment. It's often because you just don't feel like you're enough, right? And then when you don't, and then when you talk, like you were saying, like you kind of come down on yourself because you think you should be somewhere else right now, whether that's as a father, as a professional, and all you're doing is like thinking about what you're not, what you're not, and what you're not. And that is, it just becomes, so for me, I can speak for me. I know this probably happens for a lot of people, but I can tell you one of my many patterns that go, that feed this is I'll feel like that. And especially if I'm at home and I just went shopping, food shopping, and I go in, there's all this great food in the house, but I always give myself a little treat, and I go get the treat, and then it's another treat, and it's another treat, and then maybe it's kind of like our parents always said, like, you're going to spoil your dinner, and you kind of do spoil your dinner. So
Yeah.
instead of, so you work a little longer because you've jacked yourself up on some sugar, and now you're making dinner, and it's like, you know what? Instead of like all the veggies and the quinoa and a reasonable piece of protein,
Yeah.
let's just throw it. Let's you know what? Let's get out of the house because we've been here all day. We'll go to the store and we'll get a frozen pizza and we'll pop that in, right? So
Yeah.
now it's a whole nother like hole we can get into. But then now you're putting all this garbage in your stomach, which impacts your whole like neurotransmission, and then you already feel like crap. Your stomach's all messed up. Your neurotransmitters are getting all crazy down there, and they're like, oh, I feel like crap. And your story starts to continue, and then you wake up the next morning, instead of the smoothie,
Hmm.
you pour yourself, some cereal that you probably shouldn't have in the house in the first place, you know,
Right.
and then or you like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the coffee shop because I want to be away from home, and then you go buy yourself a donut or a bagel, you know, that nothing wrong with eating a bagel, but if you've already had a shitty
Yeah.
round of eating,
Right.
then you probably don't want to have a bagel in the morning,
Like a cart
So
binge.
yeah, and then because it's gonna feed the cycle, it's gonna keep going in a cycle. So
Right.
that
You're just
that's
binging on the bad stuff and then justifying
right,
it. And the same thing happens with you're saying the same thing happens with anxiety and like feeling bad about yourself.
right, right. So I feed this for me. That's just feed the cycle. So you can enter whatever it is. For me, oftentimes it's food, and it's usually some type of sugar thing. But sugar can be translated into alcohol for someone else, or anything that it's. So you just feed the cycle. You feed the cycle. So you learn through things like meditation. I mean, and meditation could be anything. If you run or whatever, you can
Hmm.
find all kinds of ways to just pull back. And if once you learn how that feels to pull back, you'll be able to take a step back and just say, oh yeah, I ate this and that. I did this and that in the last 12 hours, or I've been home for the
Right.
last 48. And in those 48 hours, I did all these things. I haven't really, outside of maybe something like this, I haven't talked to another human being.
Mm.
So there's some fundamental things you can do to just kind of keep feeding your soul, if you want to say, like get
Right.
outside and get some sun and interact with people in a physical sense, in a physical space,
Yep.
proper diet, doing meditation, getting proper sleep. So you can do all those things. If you haven't done those things, and if you look back and be like, wow, I didn't do those things,
Yeah.
maybe that's why I don't feel so good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
It's
Yeah.
right. It's so true. And I like going back to that metaphor you mentioned earlier about the Band-Aid,
Mhm.
Gaining this mindfulness that I think you and I have both learned a lot about through our meditation practice. It it doesn't allow you to stop these things. It's
No.
like fear, right? Fear is always going to be there. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is recognizing fear and taking action anyway.
Hmm.
And with the mindfulness, the anxiety, the comparison, the struggles with wanting to eat bad food or getting in these cycles, it's never going to completely go away,
No.
but the mindfulness allows you to slow down and recognize it. Stop beating yourself up, because that's what people do too, right? And it doesn't
Hmm.
serve you at all to be like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
such an idiot, I'm a jerk, like I shouldn't be doing this, and then
Right.
making yourself feel guilty. Recognizing and be like, you know what, this is not who I am. This is not how I want to live my life. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go for a bike ride. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to sit down and meditate. I'm going to call my mom and have a phone conversation. I haven't
Hmm.
talked to her in a while, right? I'm going to call
Right.
my best friend and just talk about this stuff. I'm going to go
Hmm.
listen to Andy's podcast because it always helps,
Right. Right. It's always a boost.
and
Yeah.
go for a run.
Especially this particular episode.
That's right.
It's a great reminder, right?
This
To
is
just
the one.
go
Uh,
out and do something. And
yeah.
again, when you're in that state, I totally get it. I just want to speak to this for a second, is that when you're in
Yeah.
that state, and maybe you even hear this podcast and you're thinking, we just rattled off like 5 or 6 things that you can go do. That's what Andy and I might choose. It
Yep.
might not be what you choose, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big component, something that I worked really hard at, someone in our group actually, to help me to see that is self-compassion,
Mm.
right? I'm really compassionate. I am a really compassionate person. I have been my whole life. And he pointed out to me, he's like, it's amazing that you can be so compassionate for everyone else in the group, but when I talk to you one-on-one, it doesn't sound like you're very compassionate for yourself.
Hmm.
And when I was able to see that and to experience that, and like you had just said while you were talking, was that don't judge yourself so hard.
Yeah.
Like that, and it's not an easy thing. All of these things, but you make that little switch,
Yeah.
and you just don't judge yourself so harshly, and just
Yeah.
be a little compassionate with yourself. Like if a friend of yours came to you and said the things that you were saying to you
Right.
about themselves, you'd be like, whoa, slow down, man. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Like,
Okay.
why don't we just go for a walk and let's go blow off some steam,
Yeah.
or whoever you are, however you interact with your friends, you'd find a way to kind of engage with them, so you can do that for yourself. And so whatever that is, back to what Andy was saying, if it's a walk, if it's a run, if it's the gym, if it's calling a friend, if it's calling your parent, if it's
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with your kids, if it's going to color, I mean, whatever that is, like,
Yeah.
or cleaning. Like for me, I love cleaning,
Oh, great.
so like that to me sometimes is very cathartic, so
Yeah.
I put on my favorite podcast, this one in particular,
Right.
and
Right.
I clean up the house. So I mean, that's just my thing, but it could be anything. Again, and then that's why I think that's why I say that is the judgment part, is like, don't even judge that part. I mean, I
Yeah.
just told you that I like to clean.
Right.
I mean, that's my thing. It can be yours too.
Right.
And cleaning is not in any way athletic. It's not,
Yeah.
but it helps me feel better. So I don't know what
Yeah.
that might be for someone else. So
I like that. I want to make a caveat on that, and just correct one correction. You said it could be anything. I think there are some things people need to be careful with. There are some things you really shouldn't go to when you're in that place that people do go to, mind altering things like alcohol and drugs.
mhm.
And I'm not like, I have a drink every now and then. Even over every day, I'll have a glass of wine. I don't have a problem with it. But if it's what you're going to because of your anxiety, depression, whatever, it's not going to help you. Same with drugs, and same with social media, the scrolling,
Right,
because that will actually make it worse. It will contribute. You need to get
right.
away from that. And that's going back to the very beginning of this
Like you're
conversation. We got to
saying,
wrap
the
things
full
up.
circle. Yeah,
Talked about taking a break from it because you slowed down, you caught yourself with the comparison and the anxiety. and pulled back and said, I need to take a break from this.
Mm-hmm.
Because social media, as much as I love social media, unless you are very resilient and you're mindful about your mindset, you can get caught and get into the anxiety trap with that as well. So when you do find yourself, I love this conversation. I love what we're wrapping up with this solution. When you find yourself in this comparison trap and this anxiety, even depression, whatever it may be, slow down, stop judging yourself, take a break, go do something, talk to someone, exercise, meditate, take a walk,
Mm-hmm.
but don't try to cover it up with things like social media and alcohol, because it ain't necessarily going to make it better.
Yeah, and I'll just add to what you're saying, just one word. Go do something. Read 2 words. Do something for yourself. For yourself. It's okay. Just do something for yourself, whatever that is, with Andy's caveats, of course. But
right, exactly. Not getting drunk by yourself. If you're gonna get drunk, at least do it with a friend. It'll be better because you can blow off steam, like you said, talk about stuff. But I'm glad you mentioned that as well. So many people struggle with the guilt of doing things for themselves, especially if they have a family, right? Mm-hmm. But it's okay. Go fill your cup up. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely,
it's going to help you in the long run. Julio, we got to wrap this up.
Yep.
I love your openness, your vulnerability, the stories that you tell. Sharing your own journey, I think, is so helpful to other people. Sometimes we get a little tired of hearing just like the gurus who tell you what to do. Like, you need to hear somebody in it who's going through this and the things that we're both dealing with every day. If anybody wants to get in touch with you or follow you when you do tend to post on social media, or maybe they need some help with some web development, where should they go?
You can follow me on all the, the major platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is all at Julio dot spelled out D-O-T, me, Julio.me. So you can always, I do have that domain somewhere. I don't know that it's actually got it.
What's your website? Do you have a website? Is it Julio?
I have I have JulioAndrade.com.
Okay.
So that's kind of a long JulioAndrade. So you can find me there. And you can always look me up on LinkedIn. There aren't many Julio Andrades on LinkedIn, so you'll find me pretty quickly. So.
Awesome. So wherever you are on social media, get in touch with Julio. If you benefited from this, reach out, tell him. Julio has no expectations, right? We have no expectations. We don't need the dopamine hit. We're just having a conversation.
Right. I may or may not even share that I did this interview online. You never know.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. But if you do hear this and you benefited from it and you relate to Julio, reach out, tell him, start a conversation. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. And tell me too. I love hearing from people. If you have questions, other podcast ideas, let me know. Julio, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome. I'm so glad we did this. I knew it was going to be great when we talked about it a long time ago. And then I didn't know what we were going to talk about. And we had a fantastic conversation. Thanks.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right. Take care.
All right.